Awesome. Welcome back into another installment of the 94 podcast. What a week we have in sports. We have the World Cup final. It's going to be between Argentina versus Spain, or España. So España versus Argentina. We're going to have Lionel Messi going up against Lamine Yamal. And obviously there's a picture out there of Lionel Messi bathing Lamine Yamal when he was a 6-month-old child with UNICEF. And then that was when Lionel Messi was, 20 years old at that time, or 19 years old. And then, fast forward 20 years later, 19 years later, Lamine Yamal, he's 19. And Lionel Messi is 39, and they are going to be facing off in the World Cup. This is real life, and that's just going to be one of those just sports spectacles of just like whoever wins it, whether it is Argentina repeating as champions, or if it's a new champion in Spain winning it for the first time since 2010 when it was held in South Africa, when Spain won on penalty kicks after extra time. They were not able to settle it, and then they were able to hold on against Netherlands. Argentina just broke a streak last World Cup in 2022, beating France in extra time, and that also took penalty kicks. So. Shocking. My prediction for the World Cup that it does go extra time. I have Spain winning it. I want to say penalty kicks. I think it comes down to penalty kicks. I think that's the epic finishing touch to this FIFA World Cup. But Spain wins it. I think that's the shocker. And I know with Lamine Yamal, that's just going to be insane amount of aura that he's about to receive after defeating Messi. Obviously it goes back to their first meeting where Lamine Yamal was a 6-month-old infant, and his mom won a lottery to actually meet some of those young football stars, and one of them happened to be Lionel Messi. There's just some odd things that happen in sports. You got pictures of certain players like Derrick Rose. And obviously, Derrick Rose grew up in Chicago, so it's a little bit more common. But you have a Serbian kid named Nikola Jokovic wearing a Denver Nuggets sweater. You have Cooper Flagg working out in a Dallas Mavericks jersey. You just have these crazy coincidences. You got Victor Wembanyama wearing a San Antonio Spurs jersey. Yeah, you can say, they had Tony Parker, Brooke. That's why. But again, for him to end up in San Antonio is something special because you still have to win the lottery. You still have to end up being that talented player, 20 years from that picture is taken for it to have any relevance. And that's just the amazing thing about sports and just how it can really connect, a lot of things in regards to just like families and their hopes and dreams. So it's really cool to see the World Cup really encapsulate that. That'll be a 2 p.m. kickoff for the World Cup, or Copa del Mundo. So just amazing setup here with Spain. Their whole tournament run from their first game against Cape Verde, 0-0 tie, just a lot of excitement. Argentina, the first game against Algeria, Messi hits that hat trick, and he's off to the races in the Golden Boot race. The Golden Boot race still continues. They're still tied at 8-8 because Kylian Mbappe, he plays a little bit later this afternoon in Miami against England in the third place game. and Harry Kane is still in the mix. You still got Bellingham. You got other names, Dembele, but the main two, Messi, Mbappe, they're still tied. So they still need to figure out where this hardware is going. And I'm sure that's the last thing on Messi's mind is worrying about a golden boot because he didn't win it last World Cup, and that didn't really matter to his legacy. It's all about winning the real prize, the World Cup. But yeah, like you have a little bit of some footnotes to pay attention to as the World Cup comes to a wrap this weekend. It's been a great tournament. With all the host nations getting knocked out in the round of 16. Just great showing by all of them. The round of 8 was amazing. Obviously, the semifinals, those were just some breathtaking games with the comeback for Argentina in the last semifinal game, and then France getting shut out by Spain and just showing just the defensive anchor that Spain has. I mean, the memes are just amazing throughout the World Cup. So yeah, I'm gonna miss the World Cup, but good things do have to come to an end, and just recognizing that and just really appreciating the time that you had watching, the world's best on the world's biggest stage. So the world's biggest sporting event. Happens this weekend, and it happens to be in New Jersey. So, yeah, I'm praying for anybody that lives in New Jersey that has to deal with traffic this weekend, and security, I'm sure, is going to be top notch. So, yeah, enjoy the World Cup. I'll be watching it. Been watching a lot of the games at Brits, and Brits is just like the headquarters here in Minnesota. I'm in Brooklyn Park. There's definitely other locations to definitely catch the game, but Brits is just one of those premier locations to definitely catch the game. Let's take a look at the British Open. I know we'll put the World Cup to bed. Let's talk about the British Cup. That has been really interesting to really follow because there's been a little bit more smack talk between the golfers than you would expect. Rory McIlroy, calling out Bryson DeChambeau, saying, it's pretty obvious his foul where it cost him an extra stroke. It was 2 strokes that really, it took him out of the leaderboard. And the 2-shot penalty stalls DeChambeau's day 2 surge. So, he was surging, and then he had that 2-shot penalty. And, you got Rory McIlroy. So, a little bit more gamemanship, from the Englishman. It's his home course. You also got Fleetwood in the mix. You got to the top third. So this is the third round, and let's just take a look at the leaderboard right now. We have Burns at 10 under. Sam Burns 10 under. Ryan Fox 8 under. Si Woo Kim 8 under. Tom Kim won last week's Scottish Open. Ryan Gerard, 7 under par. Lucas Herbert, 7 under par. Both are tied for 4th. Si Woo Kim and Ryan Fox tied for 2nd. Sam Burns alone at the top. And we got Ludvig Agberg from Sweden at 6 under par. Bryson DeChambeau also tied for 6th. And then Jackson Suber also 6 under par, and then we also have Ramses Nergard Peterson at 5 under, and then we mentioned Tommy Fleetwood. He's the guy with the parachute pants, but he's an Englishman, so he's on his home course. He's 5 under. Those are the hopefuls right now in the top 10 of the Open really right now on who is going to really close out round 4 and Sunday strong to bring home the Open. But yeah, the controversy between Rory McIlroy and Bryson DeChambeau, that needs to be studied, because I think if Bryson DeChambeau can pull this off and win the Open, I think this is going to be a documentary. I think this is definitely going to be documentary worthy. But yeah, just great golf this weekend. I'm really excited to see how this really wraps up on Sunday in regards to how the leaderboard, does it shift? Just can Sam Burns of the American hang on? Can Ryan Fox from New Zealand? Sure, I got the right. I believe he is. Yeah, Australia. Okay, so just making sure if Ryan Fox is able to hold in that top two, and really make a run for this thing. Same thing with Siwoo Kim. Those are the top three right now. We're kind of just watching, as those are the ones that have been really surging up the leaderboard on this weekend. So we'll see how those three kind of fare out, because typically at this junction of the tournament, you should be able to really understand who's going to be in that final, the final round conversation in regards to who's going to really, win this major. But yeah, Jackson Suber has definitely gained a following amongst the locals in England. So yeah, they're singing his name. And they're having a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely a couple names to definitely look out for. So there's some dark horses, but yeah, that's the beauty of the Open. Is just you just don't know who's gonna come out and actually really put the pressure on, because you still have guys that have proved it with Alexander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, Kazuma Kabori, Cameron John, Shane Lowry, Daniel Brown. You still have John Rahm. He could be doing it for Spain. It is a Spain-Argentinian weekend as the world looks on in the sporting world. But yeah, the Open should definitely have a just firework finish in Southport, England. The golf course is the Royal Birkdale. It's a par 70, and the previous winner is Scotty Scheffler. So looks like it's going to be a new champion this year for this major. All right, and as we take a look at the MLB All Star Weekend, Jordan Walker of the St. Louis Cardinals, one of their outfielders, came down to the last swing, and it was against my former Cubby, Kyle Schwarber. Don't get me wrong, I was rooting for Schwarber, but Jordan Walker, salute to you for winning the home run derby. And just giving us some excitement for this event. Because I know the All-Star Game is really cool. It's cool for the guys to really get that recognition. Pete Crow Armstrong, two-time All-Star. He was representing the Chicago Cubs. Unfortunately, the American League, they shut him out. The National League All-Stars 4-0. Cody Bellinger is your All-Star MVP. So he took that hardware home. But I think there's going to be even bigger things coming up. The Yankees, they have the Dodgers this weekend. So I think they are really locked in. That's going to be a good series. The Cubs, my Cubs, have the Twins. And they didn't get off the right start on Friday, losing 5-2. But today, they hit a home run towards the section where the 2016 World Series champion Chicago Cubs were sitting, and you can't make this up. Anthony Rizzo was holding his son. The home run gets into the stands, and he picks up the ball, and he's holding his son. You can't script that, and it's just a really cool moment for that 2016 team. And Anthony Rizzo ends up with the baseball after the Michael Busch home run. So again, Michael Busch is a first baseman. So is Michael Bush, is it almost kind of like, foreshadowing a little bit? But again, I would be definitely not opposed to, a Cubs summer or, just a Cubs fall, you may say. But again, we are a long way from that. The Cubs need to focus on winning this series against the Minnesota Twins. And right now, as we take a look at the MLB scores around the league, we're seeing that the Cubs are just doing just that. They've taken a 5-1 lead over the Minnesota Twins, and looks like the only home run for the Minnesota Twins so far is Cody Clemens. Just a lot of action so far for the Twins and Cubs. Let's take a quick look at just the overall scoring breakdown here. The Twins, as we mentioned, got the home run in the second inning after the Michael Bush home run. Then what we're seeing here is here, let's get the scoring. Okay, so there was a 2-out RBI from Bush. Amaya had 2 RBIs. Horner and Ramirez. As we mentioned, there was a home run by Bush. First inning off Bradley, 0 on, 2 out. And then a couple doubles to get a couple runs in from the Chicago Cubs. Amaya, also Ramirez and Bradley. The Twins are trying to, at least stay scrappy. I mean, they're 49-49. They're a 500 team. The Cubs are looking to really extend, their lead in the West, in the wild card, and then also, track down the leaders in the NL Central. At this time, what I'm seeing for both the AL and NL, since we're talking Twins and Cubs, the Chicago White Sox are in first place. This is not a joke. They are in first place. They're leading the Twins by 3 games. The Twins, as we mentioned, are 49-49. Just after last night's win, they pull up to 500. They're at the 500 club. The Cubs are chasing the Milwaukee Brewers, only 6 games behind. And the Cubs do have a way to get back into this race. I just need more consistency from the pitching staff and also the relief, because I think the Cubs need to hold on to this win and then win this series. And then you do have a big time series coming up after you're done hosting the Twins. You have a huge matchup coming up against Detroit. Today you have Boyd on the mound against Bradley, and then tomorrow you have Shada Iminyaga against Matthews, and then Detroit for 3, Pittsburgh for 3, and then St. Louis for 3. St. Louis for 4, excuse me. And then you have the Yankees to close the month, and then you get the Dodgers. So it doesn't get easy. It only picks up, and then you also get you almost get like a World Series sandwich with, kind of a back-to-back here. Los Angeles and then Toronto. So you get the last 2 teams for the Cubs to kind of start August and round out July. But again, big-time series coming up. Got to win the series against the Twins to start, and then take care of Detroit. Pittsburgh, got to do against Pittsburgh what we normally do, and this is at PNC, so a big road trip, and then you go out to Busch Stadium against the Cardinals for 4, and those are going to be intense rivalry games, and it's going to really dictate how the second half is going to look like. Right now, scores around the league. Pittsburgh is up 7-1 on Cleveland, looking to close that game out. Philadelphia is up 2-0 against the New York Mets. That's the end of the first. The Chicago White Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays are delayed at the top of the first. And the Cincinnati Reds are losing to the Colorado Rockies 2-0. So those are the active scores currently. There's a lot of talk around Tariq Skubal. I know we were talking about the Tigers playing my Cubs, but will Tariq Skubal be the only star on the move? Because I think there's going to be a lot of different movements in. I think overall, this season you're going to see a lot of changes. I think in the off season, but more importantly, I think right now in this season, I think a lot of teams are really going to go for it because you have the LA Dodgers going for a three-peat. So you really don't have too much to lose. I think you got to go all in. And with the All Star Week behind us, the latest intel trade rumors around Skubal. I know while fans can see the action on the field behind the scenes, it's a perfect time to collect intel on what teams are planning with the MLB trade deadline just around the corner and to get the league-wide pulse on topics dominating the season. What we're seeing with the Tigers, this Tigers schedule before the trade deadline goes like this: Angels, Cubs, Royals, Orioles, A's, meaning Detroit will be playing the worst team in the American League, the second worst team, the third worst team, and a Baltimore team that was in the AL East basement for a time until it won it 4 straight heading into the break, all of which is to say the Tigers are not going to commit to dealing Tariq Skubal until they must. Should they, however, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Chicago Cubs, Atlanta Braves, and Tampa Bay Rays are all worth keeping an eye on. So Tariq Skubal to the Dodgers, I think that would just be game over. That you're more likely you're going to be back in the World Series, but again, at that point, who knows what will happen. The Cubs getting him, I think you are a contender for the World Series immediately. Atlanta Braves, again, contender. Tampa Bay Rays, number 1 in the AL East right now. I think that might put them into the World Series. We might see the Rays really get that big boost that they need. Even though the Dodgers don't need Skubal, they don't really need anything. Frankly, they won the last 2, and they're favorites to win their 3rd consecutive. Yet, arguably, with the best farm system in baseball and an endless wellspring of cash, the impediments in place for others simply don't exist for Los Angeles. The Cubs have the most acute need, but their system isn't as close to as healthy as the Dodgers, and gutting it for a wild card berth is tricky business. So again, there's just a lot that goes into it. The Braves, on the other hand, are holding on to the top of the National League East and would love to pair Skubal with Chris Sale for their best, for the 1-2 for the best 1-2 punch in baseball. And the Rays, with the best record in the AL and a deep farm system, have plenty of incentive, even if making an expensive short-term deal is not their standard operating procedure. With an AL as winnable as this, the argument is to go all in is much easier to make. So I think all teams across Major League Baseball, they see what's going on with LA. They realize they have to go for it. The Yankees need a catcher, and I'm Ryan Jeffers from the Minnesota Twins, who's playing against the Cubs this weekend. He might be somebody that might be on the move. Could possibly end up in New York, in the Bronx. There's just so much going on. Again, with the wild card, that'll be interesting to see as we get closer to the MLB trade deadline. I have a question, though, and I want anybody in the comments to drop here your opinion. Should the NFL adopt the UFL's 4-point field goal rule? You got Brandon Aubrey. Aubrey became the highest paid kicker in NFL history this offseason. Just imagine if he's launching like a 60-yarder, but then that counts as 4 points. Or if he's even getting to a 70-yarder, and that's 4 points. Should the NFL consider, field goals of 60 or more yards worth 4 points? While there's currently no momentum or proposal by the NFL committee of competition committee, some current players and Pro Football Hall of Famers are at least intrigued with mixed opinions by the idea of awarding an additional point for converting on a distance that isn't all that rare anymore. 2 seasons ago, the NFL revamped its kickoff rules. There was some growing pains with that in hopes of reducing injuries and encouraging more returns when it implemented a dynamic kickoff structure that had been used in the XFL, a spring football league now known as the UFL. The changes worked. The return rate in the NFL increased from 21.8% in 2023 to 32.8% in 2024. Further tweaks to league rules in 2025 resulted in the rate jumping to 74.5% in 2025. That is a gradual growth, but a significant growth. This year, the UFL implemented the 4-point field goal and saw an uptick in 60-yard field goals. During the UFL's 2025 season, no 60-yard field goals were made, but in 2026, the league went 8 for 14, which is 57.1% on such kicks, including going 4 for 4 in the playoffs. Last season in the NFL, kickers attempted a record of 22 field goals of 60 yards or more and made 12. That's 55%. That's nearly as many quick maths. That's nearly as many successful field goals from 60-plus yards last season. We're nearly as much as kickers made in the previous 3 seasons. 14 combined. It's amazing. All right, Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen was quoted, "Heck yeah, man, let's go." In support of a 4-point field goal, up the ante a little bit. It makes sense. Cohen likes the idea because Jacksonville's kicker, Cam Little, set the NFL record with a 68-yarder against the Las Vegas Raiders last season and netted a 67-yarder against the Tennessee Titans, which holds the mark for the longest outdoor field goal in NFL history. And Little also had a 70-yard field goal against the Pittsburgh Steelers last preseason that didn't count in the record books. But what do some of the league's kickers think? This is where it gets really interesting. It'd be nice. This is coming from the Detroit Lions kicker, Jake Bates. I know it's cool for the UFL guys to get that because it makes it worth sending them out there for. And I think a lot of guys showed they can make it, so it's cool to watch. Okay, so favorable so far. The Washington Commanders kicker Jake Moody said the rule changes seem like a natural evolution, the same way the NBA adopted the 3-point shot 12 years after the ABA introduced it in its inaugural season in 1967. I think that it would be kind of cool, Moody said. Why not? It's like baseball. They got the 3-pointer. I feel like there would be a lot more attempts for sure, so you probably practice your longer range 60-plus kicks a lot more. Dallas Cowboys kicker, and we mentioned at the top of the story, Brandon Aubrey, who has made a NFL record 6 field goals of 60 or more yards in his first 3 seasons, isn't quite sure how he feels about a 4-point move, mainly because of how it would impact strategy. I think it's a little weird, he said. Kind of incentivizes you to stall the drive in a certain spot. It makes you really, really question your play calling around that 50-yard line. It's interesting for kickers that have the leg to get it there. Maybe there's a little bit more value there, but kind of perverses the incentives of football, where the goal is to get it as close as to the other person's half as possible. So I'm kind of conflicted on it. I like it for the kickers. I think it is a nightmare for the play callers. End of quote, Brandon Aubrey. So again, these guys are mixed on it, but I really want to open it up, just to our listeners, because you guys you have Hall of Famers like Adam Vinatieri. Says, I know when I was playing, anything outside of 50 yards was a big deal, and knowing exactly where they could be, altering a little bit of the play calling that Brandon Aubrey had alluded to. I think it's really a good idea. And this is coming from Vinatieri. To be honest with you, he said, I played one season in NFL Europe, and anything outside of a 50-yarder was worth 4 points. Probably makes kickers even more valuable, but it does change the game. Yeah, so you have a lot of different opinions. I would want to hear from Will Reichert as well with the Minnesota Vikings on what he thinks of that potential rule change. Again, there's no momentum yet, but again, it could be something to look out for. And then we'll just wrap up here with the NBA Summer League. Post-Summer League NBA rookie rankings, newcomers who stood out. And this is coming just from what we saw out there on the court in Las Vegas. Darius Acuff Jr., we have him at 11. Let's start with the positive. Acuff looks like the part of a lead creator. But those percentages will tick upward in a larger sample size in the regular season. But given his other limitations, Acuff needs to be a transcendent offensive talent to truly succeed in the NBA, and he has shown more early reasons to doubt that path. So I guess they were not really impressed with, he shot 35% from the field, 27% on three-pointers, and 70% on free throws this summer. So, he checked off almost every negative box for a small guard. He didn't assuage any concerns about his lackadaisical defense, especially off the ball, and his offensive efficiency was subpar in all but one game, including his play in the California Classic. As we mentioned, he shot 35%, 27% on three-pointers, 70% on free throws this summer. So top 10, you got Keaton Wagler, LA Clippers. He was a draft number 5. So Wagler is Exhibit A for why it is important not to overreact to Summer League performances. I watched him struggle through 6 quarters in Vegas before leaving at halftime for his second game to catch a flight. Yet he scored 18 points in a quarter as soon as I left the gym. So with size, he's 6'5", 188 pounds. He's got a smooth three-point stroke, 35% at Summer League, and shrewd passing out of the pick and roll. Wagler profiles as a lead creator at the NBA level, but he was overly passive for long stretches in Vegas, and a lack of explosiveness meant he rarely created any separation from defenders. So just a couple, notes to just definitely, cautious. Kingston Flemings, number 9, Atlanta Hawks. He was drafted number 8 overall. Just more questions around Fleming's offense, but they loved his defense. He was the best defender among the lottery guards, hands down. He was able to hold his own when he switched onto opposing bigs. Nets forward Danny Wolf isn't the most imposing post presence, but it's still notable that Fleming swiped the ball from a 6'11" player after a late switch in a close game. Morris Johnson, with Dusty May, he was number 8. Again, he was one of those standout performers of the Summer League despite playing only 2 games. He made several advanced reads out of the short roll and was extremely efficient inside the arc. Yaxel Lundenberg with the Golden State Warriors at 7. Remember that his ranking reflects a player's standing now, so it makes sense that the 23-year-old Lundenberg would be more NBA ready than many of the teenagers drafted ahead of him. All right, in the final minute here, let's just go in the lightning round here. Mikael Brown, number 6. He was drafted 6th by the Brooklyn Nets. Number 5, Braden Burries, the Milwaukee Bucks. I think he was involved in that Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. Number 4, Caleb Wilson, or what Kevin Garnett likes to call him, the small ticket. He is definitely somebody that I think is going to continue to rise up the stock for Rookie of the Year. And number 3, Darren Peterson with the Utah Jazz. He was the number 2 overall pick. And he's looking impressive. Cameron Boozer at number 2 with the Memphis Grizzlies. He was picked number 3. And number 1, we have A.J. DeBonce with the Washington Wizards. The number 1 pick earned the top spot, and he looks like he's continuing to hold that top spot after the first round with Summer League. This is going to be a fascinating season coming up, but make sure to like and subscribe on the 94 Podcast, YouTube channel, and Instagram. But until next time here on the 94 Podcast, we'll see you at the TOP. Viva la España! Let's go El Rojo. Peace.